Today's podcast episode is presented by Podgo. Podgo is the easiest way for you to monetize your podcast, providing podcasters with a flat rate for ad space so you always know how much you get when you include an ad from Podgo. Apply today to become a member and immediately be connected with advertisers that fit your audience. That's podgo.co at podgo.co. And be sure to add our podcast in the How Did You Hear About Podgo section of the application. All right, folks, welcome to Everything Pro Wrestling. Everything Pro Wrestling is a show by the fans, for the fans. I am your host, Conrad Cushman. With me today, I got my man, Rich Latta. Rich, what's going on, brother?
Oh, chilling, man. Glad to be here, Conrad.
Now, Rich, listen, before we get started with the interview and everything else, I promised my boy Montezi that we would have to start this puppy off right with one of your music videos. So we're going to play your entire music video. We'll talk about it. And you're going to get two, one in the beginning and one at the end. So if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you guys stick around for this one. You will enjoy.
No doubt.
Close your eyes real quick. All right. You see it? Concentrate a little harder. Look, baby, just imagine. Look, baby, just imagine. Look, baby, just imagine being this real. Man, just imagine being this ill. Close your eyes and imagine. Boy, close your eyes and imagine. Boy, close your eyes and imagine being this real. Man, just imagine being this ill. Close your eyes and imagine like John Lennon, you could be you. And you ain't had to switch it up so you could seem cool. Moving around, perpetrating all this make-believe shit. Diamonds looking like a thunderstorm. Grade up, chip, just imagine what you don't get to do. You don't get no days off from these cat moves. Look your family in the face, you a disappointment. When them real niggas showing up, you just avoid them. Just imagine coming out as advertised, stealing credit cards that make you a savage, right? Running scams on the public, running misdirection. We should get the lie detectors all up in your sessions. Close both eyes and visualize yourself in a situation where you wasn't crying out for help. Out here lying to yourself while the truth lays dormant, all for the sake of performance. Man, just imagine. Look, baby, just imagine. Look, baby, just imagine being this real. Man, just imagine being this ill. Close your eyes and imagine. Boy, close your eyes and imagine. Boy, close your eyes and imagine being this real. Man, just imagine being this ill. Close your eyes like you in the Wild West on some outlaw shit. Out here making up whatever just to say that you be lit. I'm as real as can be, cause baby, I'm doing me. Through the ups and the downs, I'ma let them all see. And I'm feeling too free, these niggas so restricted. Telephone booth tight, and they gotta live with everything that can't be accounted for. 5-star GTA, you a butter law. Let you tell it you was out here ripping, dog. Unlimited, cap like it's baseball. Use your thoughts and imagine a different way. I swear that you could do it all, but you rather play with some things that you ain't really built to do. All your loved ones are hoping this gets through to you. Close your eyes and imagine you out here flagging. Let me chill, that ain't about to happen. Imagine. Look, baby, just imagine. Look, baby, just imagine being this real. Man, just imagine being this ill. Close your eyes and imagine. Boy, close your eyes and imagine. Boy, close your eyes and imagine being this real. Man, just imagine being this ill. Close your eyes and
That's how we kick off the podcast with my man Rich, man. Rich, dope video. Dope video. I really was feeling the lyrics actually to the song. The main thing for this one was Montezi. Shout out to Montezi.
What up, Teasy?
Teasy wanted me to make sure I included that video in this podcast. So that one was for him, and I'm actually doing two, so I make sure that he's definitely happy when he sees this. But tell us about that song, Imagine, man. What was going through your mind when you wrote it? Like, tell us anything you want us to know about it.
Yeah, so that song was so I had actually had a situation where I was working as an engineer for a couple, like probably about a year and a half, and I was dealing with some artists who ended up it didn't end up being a good experience at the end because something had gone wrong financially with it. There was a situation where I had to pretty much run them down for the money because they were trying to scam me out of money for their studio time and using fake cards and stuff like that. So a lesson learned there. But I was thinking about everything that I thought was whack about them. and it was like, imagine if you could really be yourself, because like, once you're around these folks, you kind of see, who they are, what they're really about. And, in my position, I pride myself on, my music being very authentic, being real, and there's a certain freedom in that. So I was like, imagine what it would be like for them to have that same freedom.
Yeah, and I want to take this time to have you probably promote your YouTube channel, because I know that we're going to show a video that you guys just heard the music for. Absolutely dope. We're going to play another one at the end, and we'll wait until the end to talk about it. But I want you to kind of put over your YouTube channel, because I went through and I spent a whole day while I was at work preparing for this podcast, just listening to some of your freestyles, some of your songs, your breakdowns.
Thank you.
It's absolutely amazing what you have put together here. And I definitely think anybody in the wrestling community, like, you guys are going to be impressed when we start talking. Definitely recommend you subscribe, but just put over your platforms and stuff real quick, man.
Yeah, man. If you guys want to see what I got going on, I host a podcast called One Nation Radio on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. A lot of great shows on there. My show's called One Nation Radio with my boy James, and that's kind of like the hub for everything I do wrestling wise. But with the music, you can type Rich Latta into any streaming platform, listen to all my music. I make all my beats. And my YouTube channel, you just type in Rich Latta. You should just see the Rich Latta one, kind of a purple background. On there, I have like a series going right now called Family Music Life Deconstructed, which is a track by track breakdown of my last album that I dropped. And we're going through how I made the beats, the inspiration behind the lyrics, and then the actual like genius style breakdowns for each song. I'm doing different things, like making beats on the channel, releasing exclusive freestyles, dropping music on there. And I'd really like you guys to check that out. And I appreciate you, Conrad, for going through there and watching me just talk to the camera. In a lot of these situations, I'm offering advice to up and coming MCs, different things like that.
Yeah, I don't know if you knew this, but a long time ago, I used to rap too. Many moons ago, many different lyrics ago. Things that if you ever find my mixtape, shout out to Derek in the chat. Derek was also in my rap group. He does the AEW podcast with me. But if you ever find like some of our like old stuff, I know if I ever run for politics or something, someone's gonna bring it up and be like, "But you said this back in 2008 when you were 24 years old or 21 years old." I acknowledged it. I've acknowledged it many times on the podcast. Say what you will. I was looking for the oohs and ahs, used to battle rap and different stuff like that, man.
Yes, sir. Everybody's been to battle before.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are.
You have to. It's part of the hip hop culture, in my opinion. And PR Nightmare, I did have hair back then. Don't be dogging, bro. Baldies are in, man. All right. So, yeah. That it's just what it is. But I used to rap too, so I definitely understand the grind, the hustle. And I'm not, this isn't about me though. This is about you. So as far as music, I want to talk about some of your hip hop influences to start. What really got you into music?
Strange. My older sister was a large influence on my life in all aspects, not only in music but sports. I was pretty much a tag along to her, and she was a DJ as well. So I was just tagging along, saw her making beats, saw her rapping. I was like, man, I want to do something like that. And my sister's like 10 years older than me. So she was kind of in and out, of, her starting her life and then come back home, pretty much like you do after, you go out. But from there, I spent a lot of time alone, and it was like I was looking for a way to pass the time, and I was moving around the country, living in California, living in Massachusetts, and living in Florida as well. And in that time by myself, I decided to, learn a craft, essentially, like, dedicate myself to, throwing a dedicate myself to learn as much as I can about music, making beats. I was making beats since MTV Music Generator, so on the PlayStation 1. So it just started from there, and it was like, man, if I can ever get my beats to at an acceptable level, I'll just make all my own beats. And then I finally got there, I feel like, earlier this decade. So with that, it was just looking at different rappers, like, I was a big Rockefeller era. Looking forward to that. Rockefeller, Dipset, Joe Budden, that whole mixtape era, Cassidy, Lloyd Banks, all those guys, and then people that made beats like Kanye West, and Timbaland, of course, and just moving forward like Ninth Wonder, Tribe, Called Quest, different stuff like that. So those are, I would probably say, like my primary influences. And in a later day, like someone like Russ is a really like, I'm a big fan of his as well.
Okay, I can respect that. Definitely sounds like we came up during like the same time with music influences and everything else. Definitely like a big fan of Fab, Cassidy. Yeah. You mentioned Dipset.
Actually, Fab's the reason I started rapping.
Yeah. Listen, Fab also taught me the difference in hip hop. Everyone sometimes thinks you got to be one of the hardest rappers out, and you don't always have to be like that. Sometimes you got to put a song out for the ladies. There's a song for the club. There's a song for this. Right. There's a song for that. It's all marketing 101. Truthfully, when it comes down to music. Mace is another one who I always look towards for kind of my style. Like a lot of people, right. Derek in the chat will tell you guys, like sometimes people rap real slow and you're just like, dude, are you really feeling this? I'm like, yeah, absolutely I am. But he's like, it doesn't seem like it. And all fat dudes rap about food and different things like that. It's just a specialty. It's just a specialty that we have. But hip hop is just something that's truly special to me. It holds a special place in my heart. Now, we talked about some of the musical influence that you have. What are some of your influences outside of hip hop?
I would probably say just going through life every day can be an influence. It is like, I'm working this job that I feel like is not promoting me, and I'm internalizing these things, these feelings I have. The NBA, I would probably say, different guys that I identify with, like, as my favorite athletes, like Kobe Bryant. What's going on, everybody in the chat that's saying what's up? I was a huge Kobe fan all my life, and it was like, man, if I could like personify kind of what he brings to the game of basketball to what I do like lyrically, and I think I'll be okay. So and I would say outside of my life, outside of rap, my mom played she was playing a lot of different music when I was growing up. I was lucky I had a cool mom. She would not only play music from her era, which was kind of like the Prince stuff and different types of jazz, but she also like rap too, which is like rare for folks. Like I'm 31 and my mom is in her mid 50s now, or late 50s. And then there's a weird thing about, I think, folks in like that were coming of age in the 70s, like if you catch them in the wrong year, they don't listen to rap at all. They think it's like noise and it's like nothing. But then if you catch them a couple years later, like my dad's on that noise part, and he recently started listening to rap. My mom always listened to rap, so it was always around me growing up. Listen to the Locks, Big, different stuff like that. So I was always hearing music. My sister, as I mentioned before, and outside of strict influence from rappers, it was like just moving around the country, needing something to do, looking at how I can turn situations that I see that I'm going through, that other people are going through, into content without even like realizing that I was doing it.
Yeah, definitely. Interesting. My parents were the same way, kind of. My mother was always like real big into music, and a lot of the songs that I would listen to, she'd be like, "Oh, you don't know where that's from?" I'm sure you guys see all
What you know
the
about that?
yeah, exactly. And then she'll put on the real beat, and then she'll have the instrumental version because they used to buy singles and things like that. Well, of course, we don't do that because we were ripping music off of the computers. But I was like, oh, okay, so this is how you can do some of the beats and stuff. And my dad, funny enough, my dad is a Caucasian male for anybody who cares to know, and my mom is an African American female. So completely different spectrums. Like when we talk opposite on everything, opposite, like 100%. So my dad is very older, and he just never understood rap music. And I remember the day when he actually like smiled at me, was kind of proud, was the day when I sold that mixtape and I had enough money. I sold the mixtape so I could go to college, and he saw all the money and he was like, hey, you know, maybe that stuff ain't so bad. Because he hated it. He still probably hates it to this day. He just doesn't understand it though.
Right.
All part of the music industry, and I get it, it's kind of a scummy thing too sometimes that goes on behind the scenes, like the story you shared before. Do you have any musical influences that are outside of hip-hop though that you think people would be surprised by?
Yes, I'm a huge fan of Prince. I worship at the altar of Prince. I'm one of the people that has listened to more than just Purple Rain. Like that goes from, his entire run in the 80s, listening to his stuff in the 90s, like the Gold Experience, to something like, I forget the name of the album. He had 30 albums. It was the one that came out in 2014. I really enjoyed. But with Prince, it was the fact he was so prolific. He wrote his own music. He produced his own music, and was a savant on every instrument. And I wanted to kind of do the same. That's why I learned to write my own songs, learn how to make the beats, learn how to engineer, and be able to record myself. So it was complete self-sufficient. That's kind of the biggest thing I got from Prince.
Yeah, Prince is an absolute beast. If you guys don't know the story of Prince, or why he wrote Slave on his face and different things like that. I know, listen, I'm one of the number one people who love the Dave Chappelle skit. I think that one's funnier than the Charlie Murphy one personally. The Rick James, shout out to Rick James from Buffalo. But I love the Prince one, and I know some people get super like wild with it when it comes to like, oh, is this how Prince really was? I heard Prince was an athlete. Prince is a super talented dude, though. You can't beat mentality like that. So I just wanted people to know, take Prince serious when you get the opportunity to see what he has done in the past, man. So Rich, let's talk a little bit of pro wrestling if we can.
Let's get to it.
Now, as far as pro wrestling goes, I saw you were a fan of Fire Pro. I did a live stream the other night. You popped in. I didn't know it was like that.
Yes, sir.
I didn't know it was like that with you. Tell me about the Fire Pro games. I'm a video gamer, so.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Fire Pro, and I kind of in the last couple years have really gotten into it. I found a way to rig it up to my phone, and that's how I ended up learning how to play. Ironically, I didn't have it as a kid because I was a Sega kid, so I didn't necessarily get the imports or anything. But the Fire Pro stuff was coming out on Nintendo and Super Nintendo and stuff like that. So I never played when I was younger. But I just started watching videos and was like, man, I just kind of got obsessed with it for like 3 or 4 months because I heard the new one was coming out. I was like, okay, by the time that new one for PlayStation 4 comes out, I'm going to know how to play this game. And then I just started researching it like, yeah, man, the customization, the fact that the controls never change. And I was like, wow, once you learn how to play it, you know how to play it for life, essentially. So I literally started on a Super Nintendo mod on my phone learning, and then one day it just clicked. And then I had like the PlayStation 1 version, the Japanese import that dropped in 96. I had a Dreamcast version on my phone that was out. And I also had Fire Pro Wrestling 2 or Fire Pro Wrestling Returns on the PlayStation 2.
Yes.
And I had that in the mid 2000s, but I didn't know how to play it then. I was like, man, I just don't understand. Like, I can't do any of the moves. I just beat my ass. So I never played it. I put it in the box, never played it again. Still had the game years and years later. put it in just to see if everything I was doing on the phones would translate. It translated. I was like, okay, I'm in now. And I just became, a big fan of the customization and the match quality and just having fun with it. Just downloading any wrestler I want and customizing it. So Fire Pro is definitely gets running and on my PlayStation.
No, Fire Pro is where it's at, bro. So you're a big video gamer then, I assume.
Yeah, I play NBA 2K. I play the WWE 2K series. I also play there's another game I play. I played Red Dead Redemption when it came out. So I'd probably say I'm a casual gamer, but I'd like to do it a little more.
So did you see the AEW games announcement? I got to bring it up.
I did.
So what are you thinking now? I'm an old school fan, and I kind of got hyped for it. Not gonna front.
Man. I spent many hours on the Nintendo 64 with my stepbrothers playing like WCW, NWO Revenge, World Tour, and later on No Mercy. And I think people have just held on to No Mercy so long as the standard that it's just like, man, you got it. Anything's instantly going to be compared to it. Huge AEW fan, excited to see that someone like Kenny Omega is getting a chance to head this thing up. Him being a gamer, him understanding that legacy and that pressure. I think it's going to deliver, and I would be shocked if it doesn't. And I think it's going to be great. I can't wait to play it.
Right. That to me, that little bit that we got just was enough to like show me like, okay, I could trust these dudes making this game. Like it's all good. All good once it finally comes down to everything. So pro wrestling. How did you get started into pro wrestling? Was there someone who was an influence on you? Did you just happen to be one of the kids sitting there watching? You're like, oh, let me stop on this. This looks cool.
So I'm originally was born in Springfield, Massachusetts, which is WWF territory, right in the heart of it. Like they do house shows in the Springfield Civic Center, which is, I believe, called the Mass Mutual Center. I live in Florida now, which is another capital. I live in the Tampa Bay area now. But my grandfather was the one that really started me with the wrestling. And it was just something I could do to spend time with him. And I really liked it. It was between that and watching Power Rangers where I just wanted to see people fight. And shout out to your new subscriber.
Thank you.
Looks like it's Duncan Dingus.
Yes.
So from there, it was just watching the pay-per-views during the Attitude Era with my grandfather, 96 and 97, and watching it every single week. My mom always let me watch it. Everyone in school was watching it. And from there, it just kind of grew until about 5th or 6th grade, and I kind of fell out of it, like post WrestleMania 17, somehow different things of like not having cable at a certain time and just doing other things, hanging out with my friends playing basketball. I fell back into it later on around the time like the rise of CM Punk and started watching, filling in everything I could in that gap. And I used to go on YouTube till like 4 a.m. and just watch everything I missed essentially. And from there, you just start branching out more and, learn about indie wrestling and New Japan and everything like that, which led to like, AEW. And from, being a kid going into it, I went to a lot of the house shows back then. And my first show I ever went to was Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels. And I don't know how you can get a better beginning than that. So it was I think it was a lumberjack match was the main event, and it was on the road up to WrestleMania 12.
There's two kinds of people in this world. There's Bret Hart fans and there's Shawn Michaels fans. It just depends on which side you're on. I gotta ask, who's your boy out of the two?
All right, so this is gonna be, I don't know if you had an answer like this, but for the longest time, I grew up as a Shawn Michaels person. However, in the last couple of years, I have changed over to being a Bret Hart guy. From reading his book, from meeting him, from realizing what Bret was doing, the pressure he was under to succeed, and when they were there at the same time, Bret was the actual top star. And I think Bret, just like you can what really sealed it for me was when that hidden match came out with what was his name, the hidden match, the famous one they put on the network.
The one nobody knew about. Hold
Correct.
on. I'm going to look it up right now because honestly, we have no reason to remember this dude's name from
Right.
Rochester.
Right.
What is this match called? Go ahead, keep talking about it. I'll pull it up.
Yeah, so I pulled that up, and I just see the simple way Bret Hart was able to put together matches to make these guys shine. And I was like, man, like you look at the guys that came after Shawn Michaels and the guys that came after Bret Hart, and it's like you can easily find someone more spectacular than Shawn Michaels, and that was the primary reason I liked Shawn Michaels the most. And then I'm like, well, there's Kenny Omega, there's Will Ospreay, like, and it's like there's levels, but what I think that true greatness of Bret just shines through because he's so tough, he's so technically perfect, and he really felt like a hero, like looking back on it. Like in
Tom McGee was the name for anybody.
Tom
looking
McGee,
for it.
that's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. But and Bret was like, I thought it was an awesome baby face. I thought it was an awesome promo, despite what the consensus was about him. You go ahead and watch SummerSlam '94, and you watch that promo he cuts on Owen Hart before, he goes out to the cage where he's like, "I'm gonna beat you, brother," and I just hope that you can live with it. Like, unbelievable stuff. And then like when he turns heel, he's just like the best interview in the business in '97. And I think Bret, just upon researching them further, if Bret gets those extra years on the back end, I think it's a whole different discussion. However, that's not to take anything away from Shawn. Love Shawn, but I became a Bret guy in my later years.
That's all right. I'm a Shawn Michaels guy, so I can't even front here. My brother was a Bret the Hitman Hart guy, so I let you go on that rant without interrupting. But no, and it's just different strokes for different folks, I guess, as far as when it comes to Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. I think Shawn's work at the later end of his career might be better than the work he did before. Crazy. It seems like
a lot of people say that.
It seems like he has two totally different careers. There's like selfish Shawn Michaels, and then there's Shawn Michaels that's like so giving, and he just seems different. I mean, from backstage stories, it seems like he still cared a lot, but you could go back and forth all day on these two. And Bret is also one of my favorites. I know that it sounded like I didn't like him, but Bret's selling is absolutely amazing. My favorite spot he ever took was the turnbuckle spot. Every time, chest first into the corner, he looked like he just lost all the wind out of him. He's just an amazing seller. Like it looked believable back then. Like I'm like, oh, he's hurting.
Right.
Come on, get up, Bret. And he's heaving, breathing hard. Amazing stuff between these guys. So we talked about pro wrestling before. Who or what now do you like in pro wrestling?
I would probably say like when it comes to like as far as who's my favorite wrestler, I would say Kenny Omega easily. Just recently he won the Observer Hall of Fame this past week, so that was pretty cool for him. I think he's just you talk about putting together matches and being spectacular and psychology, moves, drama, near falls. I think he's just the most complete guy going, and he's just a crazy moveset, everything like that. I'm also a big fan of someone like Shingo Takagi, just very hard hitting, and Tomohiro Ishii, who's like a god of wrestling, I would say. Big AEW fan. I've recently started watching. I've gotten introduced to Stardom by my boy James, which I started watching in 2019. I was a big fan of Arisa Hoshiki before she retired, but I will probably say, yeah, and the Young Bucks. I like fast-paced wrestling that's like high-flying and explosive. Like I'm, I can get your quote-unquote storytelling, but there's stories in those matches too. So I'm, give me all the moves. Give me the stars. So the flips, the PWG, all that stuff. I'm totally all in on that.
No, I completely am with you on that. One of the biggest things that annoys me that people say about wrestlers, the Young Bucks and FTR just ordered Full Gear. Thought that was a great match on the grading scale. If you guys look in the description box, you can see it for when we do the pay-per-view reviews. Had to give that match an A+. And a lot of people used to always argue like, oh, the Young Bucks don't tell stories in the ring. And I'm like, what are you talking about, bro? Their attires tell stories in that match. It was Lakers versus Celtics. It was basically saying we're both the greatest of all time, and tonight we're going to see who's the better team. Like, that was storytelling. His foot being hurt. There's so much in there, and I just get aggravated sometimes when people say that. So there is storytelling in that, and I was clapping for you too. Shout out to my boy JPQ who put me on to Stardom. #Watch Stardom. He put me on, and Arisa was my favorite too. Instantly, as soon as I watched, I was like, "This is the girl." And then when she was done, my heart like sank.
Yeah,
into
it
my
kind of
soul.
took some out of it. I haven't been as much into it since she's been gone, but someone that I do like that is kind of like I'm hitching my wagon to is Suri now. So she's a very hard kicking machine.
Okay.
So
all right, I'm gonna take your advice and check that out then. I've been out of it too ever since she's been gone. I've watched it a little bit. I've dipped the toe in, but not fully all the way. But Stardom's great. If anybody has not watched Stardom Wrestling, absolutely amazing. What's going on, Sick? See you in the chat, brother. Thank you for joining. I guess we'll keep it moving here as far as pro wrestling is concerned. What is your favorite podcast that you've done so far?
Man, I've been hosting a podcast since 2012, so it's very hard to narrow them down. But at the end of each year, the past couple years, we have myself, my co-host James, and Jeremy and Josh from Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts when it comes to New Japan Pro Wrestling. You don't want to go anywhere else. Like that's like they're gonna get you where you need to be. We pretty much form a Voltron, and what we do is at the end of every year, it was a concept I invented. It was called the FOH draft, and it means like F out of here. So we would basically come up with a draft board of all the terrible things that would happen in pro wrestling throughout the year, and it's our Christmas episode, and we drink on air. And what we do is get further inebriated and draft, said things that pissed us off and rant about them they're usually like 2.5, 3 hour shows. And we do it once a year. So that was, that's any of those the last couple years. But I would probably say also the History of Social Suplex podcast that we did at the end of last year was like celebrating like 5 years of socialsuplex.com. I also interviewed Wale back in 2014. That was pretty cool as well.
Yeah, Wale, big wrestling fan for those who don't know. One of his best freestyle I think I've ever heard from him, maybe off of the Razor Ramon beat. Love listening to that every once in a blue moon. Wale is truly amazing. So listen, Rich, we got to talk a little bit here. We always do a game on the show. Every time we have a guest on, it's called Word Association. I'm going to say a name. You can give your thoughts on whatever you want to say about it. How does that sound for a few things?
Yeah, that's cool, man.
First thing, Aja Kong. I saw the shirt that you had on, so that was the first name I had to throw out in the video.
Absolute legend. I wore that shirt for a reason. In that video, I was like, I want people to know that I love Aja Kong, and I thought it was a pretty cool shirt. I recently, during the start of the pandemic, I started filling in the gaps for some of the things I was always curious about in wrestling. One of the things was All Japan in the 90s. I started watching a lot of Kenta Kobashi. One other thing was I was like, okay, Manami Toyota. I need to watch Manami Toyota because I just never had. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to go through this playlist. I believe it was Tiger Driver put out a playlist. I was like, all right, cool. Started watching it, and I'm like, okay, Manami Toyota, like, she's cool, she's great, but like, I would see her with multiple matches with Aja Kong, and I found myself going, oh my god, Aja Kong is like the one that I'm like totally just into here. And then I began going down the rabbit hole of any Aja Kong match I could find, and it was like, yeah, like unquestionably one of the greatest wrestlers to ever live. she's incredible. I hope to meet her one day whenever this pandemic stuff is over and just thank her for, you know, her contributions to wrestling. So, and show her that I wore her t-shirt in the music video. So
respect. Kendrick Lamar.
Kendrick Lamar, a genius, flat out. He's a guy that you don't hear a lot from him, but when you do hear him, it's seismic. It is he comes from a place, like, I know where he comes from, having lived out on the West Coast, and he's seen a lot in his life. Also, you think about those generations that have gone through what they've gone through in California, like going back to like the Watts riots, and then the riots at the end of the '60s, the riots in the early '90s, and all that stuff is just the legacy that gets passed down to this guy who is coming of age. I believe he's around my age, and he is, I think, just one of the most special guys lyrically you'll ever hear. And he was, you know, he's got his own way to present himself, and I think it's genius.
Side question: favorite? Do you have a favorite album from him?
So I think I'm into Damn more than his first album. I'm into Damn more because I felt Damn was more like, all right, y'all said it was too complicated to Pimp a Butterfly. I'm gonna quote unquote dumb it down, but at the same time still give you everything I've ever given you on Damn, and I think he just hit that perfect balance.
Yeah, Kendrick is super dope, man. I go back and forth on which is his best albums. Next up, I got for you Tupac.
Tupac was, I always heard that once I got older, I would appreciate Tupac more, and that is totally true. When you start talking about songwriting ability, versatility of topics, I wish his production was better. I'm not the biggest fan of some of the beats that he rapped over, but he was someone I think that was able to just focus less on how he said stuff and worry about what he was saying, and just made sure it just hit people a certain way. So I'm out of the two, of course, like with Biggie and Pac, I'm a big fan because I lean more on the technical proficient side of rapping. But as I've gotten older, looking at how songs, you know, are structured and written, is like, no wonder Tupac could like pump out so many songs like that, and Biggie couldn't, because like Big, although he could hit all those different topics, the thing with Tupac was he didn't necessarily worry about like everything. He's like, yo, I got to get all of this out of me, and I'm gonna get it out. And he had this format, like with how he did his choruses to his verses, and just tie them together, and he was just able to turn that stuff around. Where Big, it was like, you know, straight technical excellence, and it was like, all right, if I need to feel it, I need a certain beat. I thought Big's beats were better. But I think with Pac, he's someone that I've definitely grown to appreciate a lot more than I did, I'll say, about 10 years ago. Because I was like, he didn't even rap all that good. But, you know, as I've gotten older, I think he's definitely like something like Temptations is one of my favorite songs from him.
Okay. All right. Respect. I'm definitely a huge Biggie fan as well. I just got a new Biggie shirt. I wish I was able to rock it on the podcast, man, but I got to wash that bad boy first. So someone in the chat just asked about Big Pun, so I'm going to throw that out at you too.
So I liked Big Pun, but I didn't like him as much as you know, everyone else kind of did. I thought his singles were amazing, like especially you know, the impact that he had on like the Puerto Rican community. I'm Black Puerto Rican myself, and I would see just the pride you know, that he gave a lot of folks, and I can appreciate that for sure. Sometimes I thought he was a little limited subject matter wise, and you know, I wasn't particularly impressed with like the length of his albums. I felt like they were too long. But as a just like, hey, get up on the mic and say something, he's as dope as, you know, anyone.
Respect. Isaiah Swerve Scott.
Yes, sir. My man Swerve. So I guess I can talk about this. So I produced 10 songs on Swerve and Monteese's new album. Swerve is a guy that pretty much opened his home his friendship, his phone line, everything to me. And it was really cool that when Montezi had linked us up, it was just like we started communicating with each other via text. He kind of, figured I was a cool guy, invited me out to his crib, and it was like, yo, originally I was gonna tutor you on, how to do production essentially. And our relationship just kind of grew from there as we, talked about our philosophies and liking music. And we started displaying our skills to each other more. And eventually he was like, yo, I'd like you to produce, the album. And yeah, it was great. He's a really great guy, really humble guy, a good dude that looks out for everyone around him. There are various stories within wrestlers of Swerve putting in good words for guys, getting them signed, different stuff like that. And everything that I've ever dealt with Swerve has just been 100. And I think he's a great guy. I think he's a great wrestler that should be having the world at his feet, whenever he gets the opportunity. And the album is really dope. And I was proud to produce 10 songs on there.
Yeah, I loved his work in Lucha Underground, especially. I think his role as Killshot on the show, very, very underrated. And like I said, shout out to the Swerve City podcast. They're on the WWE Network right now, so I got to show them some love. And I've heard some of the stuff you've produced for them. Absolutely amazing, bro. And if you guys follow him on Instagram, sometimes you might catch a little snippet of him working with them. Yeah. So you may want to give him a follow on there.
No doubt.
Next up, one of my favorites, Lupe Fiasco.
Lupe. So I was a big Lupe fan early in his career. First and 15th Lupe. The mixtape series, Fahrenheit, First and 15th. Food and Liquor, first album. After that, I kind of fell out of Lupe. However, I will never, ever forget, Touch the Sky, how that first album, just like the first 11 songs, just mind-blowing. And it was like just such a breath of fresh air in that time period. You think about what 2006 was, and it was a lot of like very slow, drowned out music, very slow, like, and when I say slow, I mean tempo wise, like everything's like, it's like trap beats, it's snap music, it's, a lot of stuff that's veering away from traditional lyricism. He definitely brought that in, and he had people that were ready for it, but it seems like it didn't hold up. I love Big Crit. I see someone in the comments that's sick. Anybody that's a producer that raps, that is like they're high on my list. Like Big Crit, Russ, Cole, stuff like that. So
yeah, I'm seeing a bunch of names pop up, and I'm writing them down so I can ask you about it. What's going on? Jesse from the Pro Wrestling Shoots in the chat as well. Thank you for joining us, brother. And I see you coming in here with the Drake lyrics, trying to MJF this chat. I see you, though. I'm sorry. Did you have anything else you wanted to add for Lupe?
Lupe, I think he's dope. I think he just sometimes he goes places that people aren't ready for.
Listen, so I was a big Lupe hater at first because I was like, oh, you mean this dude who looks like Pharrell? I don't want to listen to a CD. A punk rock kid actually gave me the CD and said, bro, I promise you have to listen to this and it'll change your life. I'll never forget this dude. I didn't even work with him that long. He was in a like great punk rock band. He ended up having a baby with this girl. It changed his whole life, and then he ended up having to move or something happened, and he was gone. He gave me that CD, though. He was like, bro, I made this for you. Promise me you're going to listen to it. I was like, all right, bro, I got you. I put it in, and like you said, those songs, like, they started to hit my soul. It changed the way I rapped. Like, there was no more raps about felonious stuff you didn't do. I was like, yo, that's the end of this. Like, we can't have this anymore. Lupe, like, opened my eyes to problems, and I don't know. That was probably my woke moment. I don't know what that was, but Lupe definitely changed a lot for me. Now, I saw Joe Buttons, one of my other favorites. I love Joe Buttons, and I saw him trying to, like, dog Lupe's new single about the dinosaurs. And he didn't understand it, so they tried to call Lupe, and he actually called into the show while they were live and explained it. He was like, what do you mean, bro? Like, some people just didn't get it. Like, if you don't listen to him, you're like, dude, what are you talking about dinosaurs for in your CD? They were laughing and everything. He was like, no, I am the dinosaur. And they were like, what? Whoa. And then he, like, broke down everything, just like you were saying, and they were, like, amazed afterwards. So, definitely recommend Lupe. And we'll get into some of your other rap ones too. Man, you guys are asking a lot of people. All right, I'm gonna try and get these all in here. All right, this segment went way longer.
Glad people here.
Yeah, man, they love it. So AEW. Did you catch me on that last one, Rich?
Yeah, you said AEW. Oh, okay.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
I think AEW's it's a promotion that was needed, and it was always going to happen one way or another. But I think the right set of wrestlers are in there to not only change the business, they've changed the business forever. Like as far as like people getting paid a certain way. Lots of contract WWE having to spend money to either retain talent or chase talent now. It's another major league promotion for everyone to work, and I think is the best book promotion in the world now. Is New Japan's like, I don't know what they're doing after Dominion this year. I think it is I was very excited to see it happen, and I felt like in 2017 there was something special brewing. I didn't know what it was. I always thought it was going to be New Japan coming to America, but as they kind of made missteps business-wise, and you started seeing WWE's TV deals get more, lucrative, it was like, man, it's a matter of time before somebody can break through. And I think these guys have broken through in about as good a way as you can. Dominated NXT, completely changed how a lot of people look at NXT now. Changed how NXT operates, and I think it's they value long-term storytelling. I think from things such as like AEW Dark, you can get invested in a guy like Lee Johnson, I feel like. and it's like, man, when he gets that first win, it's like he's over the hump. So there's a lot of great tiers from, the folks that are on Dark up to someone like Chris Jericho is there. So, and that's where my favorite wrestler wrestles. So, Kenny Omega and then the Bucks. So you can't go wrong with the Elite.
No, dude, you are 100% on that. I'm gonna hop in here with some more rappers, guys. I'm gonna do a couple more, and then we'll keep it moving though, because I saw some people had regular questions for you in the chat too. If you guys got regular questions for them, wrestling, hip hop, line them up for us, and we'll try to answer what we can. J. Cole was next.
J. Cole, a guy that I have gotten a lot of comparisons in my personal life to, like as far as like the style of music I'll make, the self-production, all that. I think Cole's a god MC, flat out. To keep it that in-house for that long, to be that successful, just doing it his own way. And he started realizing I think he like shifted the game when 2014 Forest Hills Drive came out. It was like, all right, there's no single anymore. It's just the music. I'm just going to put it out. I know my fans are going to be there. And then everyone else followed. And it was like, oh, my God, it's an eye-opening thing. I think Cole showed tremendous growth. And I see, I want to say Cole's maybe 4 years older than me. So maybe we were in high school at the same time. So I see a lot of like his evolution and my evolution have mirrored each other in where I'm a step behind. Wherever he's going, chances I'm headed there in like 4 years.
Good comparison for that. Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about J. Cole, just watching him grow up. I feel like I grew up with him because I was in maybe end of high school, college when you first started hearing his name. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh man, I'm grown now and I'm at his shows. And sometimes I'm like, man, this is pretty dope, man. And to think I was listening to this dude around the same time. And like I said, we're pretty close in age too. And I was just like, man, that's really dope, man, to see how far he's come. Biggie was on my list for later on here, even though you kind of shed some light on him before.
Yeah, man. I pretty much learned the kind of rapper I wanted to be by listening to Life After Death. I was like, I want to be cool, but I wanted people to know I can rap, and I want to make dope songs. I want to make hits, and I want to make, stuff for the streets, stuff for rappers. Like, I just feel like Life After Death is so great. And in addition to Ready to Die, of course, you start talking about like who's the best ever touched the microphone. You start watching those old big videos and think about how young he was and just the master of flow and cadence, the voice. And it's just, I think he was Like, I think Big's the best rapper there's ever been.
He's definitely top 5 for me. That's why I had to put him down on here. Tech 9 popped up earlier from Jesse.
I can't say I'm too versed in Tech 9. I definitely respect his independent grind I've known about for years. Like, as far as like what he's done with his own company as an independent artist, you can't like do anything but salute that. I know he's a guy that does a lot of the fast flow. But I haven't heard enough of his music to make a proper judgment.
Okay, I can respect that. Lil
Wayne, interesting. I feel like he was somebody.
Drop it like it's hot.
Yeah, I feel like with him, there were a lot of distinct. It's like, what Lil Wayne do you like? Do you like Hot Boys Lil Wayne? Do you like Lil Wayne from the Squad? Do you like the Carter Lil Waynes? Do you like the mixtape, the Drought 3s, and No Ceilings? That's actually my favorite version, like the No Ceilings Drought 3 version, because he's a hip hop monster, very keen, like, sense of, what his fans were looking for, and they were looking for everything he was consuming or putting out to be consumed at the time. I think where Wayne got in trouble was it was like the oversaturation, and then people started looking up and was like, I don't know if all this stuff is good. So I think he got oversaturated, and he kept running into legal issues. But I think for a short period, like a period of I want to say maybe like 2006 to 2010, he was dominating, like in a way that as big as anyone ever has. Just million records out the gate, features everywhere. It was like the modern, like, if you want to be prolific, Wayne, like, and I like to be prolific, I studied Lil Wayne's playbook.
Yeah, I'm just laughing at the chat. I'm sorry if you guys heard me laughing in the background. I just saw the black is hot. The black is hot. Y'all leave it alone, man. All right, I have 500 degrees. Don't judge. All right. Let's do. I got 3 more for you, and then we'll end this segment. New Japan Pro Wrestling.
New Japan, I think it's, throughout the last decade, it was like from like 2012 to up to the Tokyo Dome this year. It's just like, what more do you want in a wrestling promotion? Like, it's just great matches on top of great matches, on top of great booking, on top of star creation, replacing guys, elevating dudes, and, making worldwide superstars and showing you how to have a legend make a new top star, showing you how that top star can help the rest of the guys that are there. I think they've run into some trouble this year, as nothing lasts forever. With the choice to start going with Evil, I think a lot of the guys are older on the roster, and they've been through physical wars throughout the last 8 years. But those 8 years, that's a real golden era that is on par with anything ever seen. It's our version of All Japan, the 90s, or Noah, and I don't take that like period like for that we just went through for granted. I was just so happy in the moment, and I was trying to appreciate every moment in 2017, 2018, 2019, and all this stuff was happening. I was like, man, I don't know when it's going to end, but I feel like we're clearly in a new era right now with New Japan. They've got a lot of new people they're trying out, but from 2012 to 2019, it don't get much better than that.
No, you're definitely not lying there, man. Those Wrestle Kingdoms have been absolutely crazy. And I'm crazy if I'm staying up till 4 a.m. to watch a show live usually.
Right.
Love New Japan Pro Wrestling and what they do and the storytelling in the ring. Last 2 here. We gotta talk about my boy, Teasy Scott, Monteezy.
Woo, Monteezy. So, like, I spent a lot of time with Monteezy throughout this year, so I actually met Monteezy on a interview on my podcast network of my boy Floyd Johnson, who had it set up. He's a big fan of Cody, and at the time Monteezy had dropped a Cody song. He was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna interview Monteezy, but I want you to come on with me because you're kind of like the music guy on the show, and you could talk to him." So we get on there and we talk, and what's happening is something like when you know you're talking to somebody that knows, like you're connecting, like, oh, this person really knows their stuff. And that happened in the conversation. We found out we lived not too far from each other, about 20 minutes away. And then we started like linking up. And eventually, he introduced me to Swerve. We started, going through each other's, catalogs and displaying our skills to each other, like me and Teasy, and find out, we're both like really like we're like East Coast lyricists at heart. We've adapted, we're roughly around the same age, and we love wrestling, and we've got our own visions. And it was like, okay, he's like someone with a lot of veteran experience in this game, like I have, and someone to, kind of pass those ideas off of. And he kind of gave me something to be a part of throughout this year that I was always able to look forward to in the times of this quarantine period and the pandemic and everything going on. So with TZ and Swerve, like, that's why I was so happy to contribute to their project. And I can't say enough good things about my TZ. A great guy, great rapper. And check out, Erica's son is coming, so do not miss that. So I think he's, he opened pretty much his ears and his the stuff he was connected in and tried to bring me in because he knew that, he saw some talent in me. So I can only appreciate him for that.
Yeah, definitely. TZ does the intro for my podcast every single week, man, and it's definitely really dope, and he's given me some pretty cool interviews to talk with people within music, too. So I've loved the doors that this has opened. And last but not least, Rich Latta.
Oh, man. Yeah, Rich Latta, me. Little old me. Yeah, man, I'm a guy that has lived all over the country, that enjoys wrestling, that enjoys rap, that enjoys sports, that enjoys talking about different things, like anything that, my philosophy is on, why this person's album resonated in a certain way at this, particular moment. As far as, with me, I'm a rapper. I produce, I engineer, mix everything pretty much myself, and I'm a self-sufficient kind of guy. And I'm someone that I'm just trying to get people to listen, and I'm very confident they will. And I think that I put myself 100% into whatever I have my focus on. If I wanted to be a great column writer, I could be, because I was like, okay, I did it. I was able to have 1 million views on a column before. If I wanted to host a podcast, all right, I can do it. What's stopping me from learning how to do it? So I would just say Rich Latta is a guy that if he wants to do something, like as far as like, creatively, I'm going to find a way to figure it out, do it myself. I'm going to set it up in, my room and figure it out. So, and when it comes to these raps, I ain't to be fucked with. Can I curse? Right?
No, you're good. You're good on that. You're good. Listen, this is free talking area, man. I want you to be authentic, you.
Yeah.
We got a question in the chat from PR earlier that I wanted to ask. You said, who's your favorite tag team?
Favorite tag team? The Young Bucks, 100%. And I would probably put the Usos right behind them. And I say that because I think the Bucks have so many great matches. It's backbreaking, the amount of great matches they have. Pull up their cage match page. It is just incredible. Like you look at all the great matches they've had. They've drawn everywhere they've been. They had a company start because of them. Champions in every promotion. Just master marketers and like DIY type things. I'm a very big fan of DIY type people, like whether they're rappers or in the Bucks case, like they figured out the cheat code for the merchandise stuff in a way that no one else has at this time. So they're ultimate hustlers and ultimate wrestlers.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the things that I can respect. And the thing I love too is we bet on ourselves. Bet on yourself every time, because you won't disappoint. You can make your own rules then. You're not sitting there waiting for somebody to give you a handout, kind of, It's a good feeling to be like that. Rich, I got to thank you so much for doing this interview, bro. I know I kept you for an hour.
Thanks for having me.
There were some technical issues we had in the beginning, but thank you everybody turned out and turned up. Thank you for everybody hitting the like button on this. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Rich, one more time, tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, man. You can follow me on any social media, Instagram, Twitter, at Rich Latta 32. You can check out my podcast on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. I have lots of great shows on there that you can check out. My show is called One Nation Radio, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, because that's like the hub for everything music wise. And let me know that you're listening to some of the stuff. Check me out on Spotify.
Most def. In the description box, I do have Rich's link tree in there, so you guys can click on all of his stuff. So if you're interested in one platform or all of them, give him a subscribe and a follow on those. Rich, for the exit music today, we are going to play Straight Snappin' 3 at your request. I kind of want you to give a lead into this before we play it. What do you want the people to know about this?
Yeah, man. So I have a series called Straight Snappin', and this is the third version of that. I usually put them out every couple years. It seems like the pattern's been. And this was me being in the middle of watching everything that was going on this summer with the George Floyd stuff, the Breonna Taylor stuff, the presidential election coming up, and me just reflecting on life around me and just really snapping off. Produces instrumental, and I was like, man, I just want to kill it. And I was like, I've just got to say this. So check it out, Straight Snappin' 3.
Yes, we're going to get ready to play that, but one last time before we play it and we get ready to go off air, Rich, thank you so much, bro. I hope we could do this again, maybe get you on a review show or a panel or something like that.
Man, no doubt, man.
And have you do that for us. But we're going to get ready to play Straight Snappin' 3. Rich, thank you once again, brother.
Yo, thank you for having me, Conrad. I appreciate it.
It's the craziest year of our lives, man. Been in the house for months, watching everything, creating, writing, reflecting, and snapping. It's Rich Latta. That's what I got so far, at least. Yo, rest in peace to my nigga Bean. Rich flowing like the cocaine out of Medellin. Never stopping, used to say I go with 35, turn 31, but it's so much more inside. I'ma slide till the stories go dry. Putting words to the music made me feel so alive. Pulling back the mask just to say it in the mic. 4 score, I'm the one, Glenn Rice, been nice, so Christ. Throwing flows like it's dice. If it's my last dance, they gon' feel me on the mic. Swam too out of sight, comparing me isn't right. Never be a step Henry, cause mine I didn't like. Shouldn't rap about the dead, what some say. Used to hit the church to see girls on Sundays. Walk the scope spot, $10, get more tapes. That's a Joe Budden, free cash and Lloyd Banks. Thinking about how I'ma do it when the day comes. With my day ones, looking back at the place where we came from. But I move so much, and I'm hoping that we all stay in touch. I'm just trying to make it through the day while black in America. All this Lady Liberty shit, man, they embarrassed her. Bending over backwards to please us. Stuff we didn't ask for, trying to get cleaned up. Always wear a mask while I'm leaving the crib. Seeing people without them got me blowing my lid. Rest in peace, George, on fire like buildings in Minneapolis. 400 years of oppression is looking back at them. And they losing their mind trying to reconcile their own road and how we got the right now. I'm done with debating my humanity. Black lives matter, the confusion is hilarity. I don't give a fuck about all lives, and you really don't either. You just standing on the other side of anything blacker than you. Wrap yourself in the flag and go back to blue. Try to roll with the squad till you grew into your whiteness. Or to every interaction, you ain't really like us. I appreciate the help from some, but I asked what was so different about this one. Was it COVID-19 forcing you to pay attention? Loot everything, what you get don't mention. I ain't even gonna talk about a clown taking pictures with a Bible held upside down for a photo op. In a pandemic, using tear gas, man, voting ended. I need some more or whatever, but I'm gonna come back on it.
What's going on, everything pro wrestling listeners? This is Jesse Carter over at the Pro Wrestling Shoot podcast. The Pro Wrestling Shoot podcast covers interviews from your favorite independent wrestling stars, along with some current AEW, Impact, and former WWE stars. We also cover some of your favorite classic pay-per-views from WWE, WCW, ECW, and Impact Wrestling. We also cover some current reviews on all AEW, WWE, and NXT pay-per-view events. Come check us out on all your favorite audio podcast platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcast, and Apple Podcast. Follow us on our Facebook and Instagram pages over at the Pro Wrestling Shoot, and follow me on Twitter at Carter Inc. That's CARDERINC. All right, let's get back to Conrad and everything pro wrestling.
What's going on, EPW Nation? It's your boys from the Everything College Basketball Podcast, Josh and Peyton, here to remind you all that college basketball season is right around the corner. Yes, we finally know it's right around the corner. And Peyton, there's only one place people should go for all the college basketball excitement.
Well, Josh, the only place to find all college basketball hoops all the time is Everything College Basketball. Everything College Basketball can be listened to on several podcast hosting sites like Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. And we can also be found on our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Everything College Basketball.
Yes, make sure you are joining the group with a couple other 100 people and growing by the day as we march into year number 3 of the Everything College Basketball networking system. Now, let's get back to Conrad and everything pro wrestling.
Are you looking for the newest and hottest in the world of pro wrestling? Then check out the amazing action on Powerslam.tv, the biggest indie pro wrestling channel in the world. Get over 6,000 hours of the best events from over 150 of your favorite promotions from 20 different countries around the globe. Brands like Progress Wrestling, Evolve Wrestling, Combat Zone, Defy, PCW Ultra, PWX, Over the Top, Shine, and hundreds of others with fresh content added every day for only $5.99 per month. Get your free trial today at Powerslam.tv.